Fanatic Best of Podcasts are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app.
BPod Studios.
It's the Anthony Gargano Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Jeff McClain on the Comcast Business Hotline. Comcast Business, everyday business. Big day. Let Comcast Business keep you ready for what's next. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
So what do you think, brother? Let's look at assessment week 2. There's a bit of a disappointment, and it's borderline, I don't want to call it outrage, but I thought, Mark, of a team with a roster in transition and a lot of young pieces, so not surprising.
Oh, yeah, I think most people expected this going into the season, right? I mean, you have a first-time head coach, you have a quarterback with only 4 games of starting experience heading into the year. You have, as you mentioned, young pieces. You certainly still have some veteran ones, but new schemes, everything. I mean, you were going to have some bumps in the road. And while the first game went, I wouldn't say surprisingly well, but better than I think most people had thought it would go, you had to keep make sure that the context was known that the Falcons probably weren't going to be very good this season.
Right.
And that the 49ers were going to present a much stiffer test, and that's what we saw. And that was a game, I think some of the frustration was that was a game that could have been won, and it was not because, I think Nick didn't particularly have a good day. That being said, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's his first time being a head coach.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit because I've heard that as a popular opinion. And having watched, after watching the game over again, I got to tell you, I don't know. One of the things how the Niners played you was they were begging you to go down the field. And I don't know. I mean, one of my concerns with Jalen is, does he have the arm? Not everybody can misconstrues deep ball. It's the rope throw, the chunk throw, 20, 30 yards that you need to make and put that thing on a rope. And, to me, they were giving you seam plays. They were giving you that stuff. That's how they were playing. They took away all your horizontal stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't really much of an intermediate game. And I don't know if that was by design or if that's just the way they were, the 49ers were playing them, or is that the way Nick wanted to attack them? I mean, they were down a couple cornerbacks. You could totally understand that they were going to try to stretch the field. I wonder if it was in response to the first game when he was last in the NFL in terms of air yards. He ended up being first in air yards this past week. So it seemed almost like an extreme, I wouldn't say reaction. Like you said, there were opportunities down the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they were playing. They were begging you to go down the field.
Right.
Which is how I would play them. I would play the same way.
Yeah, with that being said, I mean, was Jalen making the right choices? I mean, certainly the pass to Quez, the 91-yarder, was an excellent throw. And he throws a pretty good deep ball. The first shot play was to Devontae, and he had actually gotten behind the safety, and Jalen, for whatever reason, maybe that wasn't his first read, he kind of hesitated, and then that allowed the safety to make up ground and break it up.
And you also see how he delivered it, too.
Well, yeah, you could also wonder whether, again, the question about arm strength, that ball didn't quite get there either. And then there were 2 other shot plays. One he threw in the double coverage, and one was Jalen Reagor. I don't know if Reagor ran the greatest route there. But that kind of what ended up short as well. Yeah, I mean, Jalen doesn't have a gun. I mean, that's pretty clear. But he has enough arm strength to play at this level. It's just he's just got to pick his spots. But yeah, like you're saying, and we've talked about this many times, you got to be able to throw that 20 to 30 yard rope, whether it's down the seam, whether it's on the out, across the field, and you have to be able to do that unless you're seeing things way ahead.
I question whether he can do that. That's why he wasn't taken in the first round.
Right. If you're seeing things, yeah, right. That's part of it. But if you're seeing things and you can diagnose things quickly, like again, Tom Brady he's got more than enough arm strength, but he doesn't have the best gun in the world, but he's a genius. I mean, he can pick things out before they're going to happen. So if Jalen can compensate that way, then okay, you're not worried as much about the fact that he doesn't have an A+ arm. But does he have that too? And if he doesn't have the arm and he doesn't have that, then you're questioning whether this is a guy that can be, your long-term answer. These are the questions that have not been answered, and we're going to see how it plays out over this season.
Yeah, I guess, that's how I would play. If I was playing the Eagles, I'm crowding the line of scrimmage, and I'm taking away everything side to side, and the Niners are fast side to side, and I'm taking away. I'm gonna look at try to take away your run. I'm gonna beg you. I'm gonna squeeze you, and I'm gonna beg you to go down the field, and I'm gonna beg Jalen to beat me. If I'm a DC, that's how I play it, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Nick schemes it, and I guess overall, a game like that is I kind of expect. I don't think even though you might have, you were winning in, there was a couple plays here and there, but that, the NFL. That's games you lose. Teams like this, they're not ready to win games like that yet. It's way too
but the 49ers, the 49ers couldn't do much offensively the first 3 or 4 drives. The Eagles were, the 3 of their first 4 drives, they drove past the 49ers 30. You got all the way down the line. They outplayed them in the first half. Now, again, it's not just a 30-minute game; it's a 60-minute game.
To the Lions,
and you saw the Eagles kind of in some ways wearing down, and they really didn't have much of an answer offensively in the second half until that last drive, which was call it what it is. They were playing deep, and Jalen got picked up yards on scrambles.
Exactly.
Yeah, to win consistently in this league, you got to be able to throw the ball all over the field. That being said, you can scheme an offense. Again, he's young. You can scheme an offense that plays to his strengths. And obviously, even if they're going to take away some of his strengths, there are opportunities. He missed certain things that he should. There's a 3rd and 3. You have Dallas Goedert open.
Yeah.
Throw the pass to him. Don't try and go to Devon. So there's mistakes that he made that will help you. It's just not, and that I don't think that has anything to do with his physical or mental capabilities. It's just like he just didn't do it. And
that's more a product of youth. Yeah, that's more a product.
Yeah, I think that's more of a product of youth. But if you're asking the question about whether this guy's the answer, and there's certainly doubts about it.
Yeah, and I'm not even. Again, how I'm looking at it is, I'm not making judgments week by week. I'm going to make it at the end of the season and look and kind of reevaluate, right? And look at it when there's tape on you, when you are allowed to grow a little bit. I think, the approach to this team should be like that really from everyone, right? If you're going to be smart and this is a true transition, whether you want to call it a rebuild or whatever the hell you want to call it, we'll say transition. I think when you're in a transition year, it's about evaluation, and it's about evaluation from 50,000 feet.
Right. And Nick, he's going to try and win every week. But if you step back, and if even he kind of in his mind steps back and says, this is about the future. We're trying to build something here. So that's why I'm just wondering, and I'd be interested to hear your take on this. Is Nick not trusting Jalen to do certain things? And that's what I'm wondering, because he's not dropping very much and throwing from the pocket. And I know that's maybe not quote unquote his strength. But I think he still can do that. And I'm just wondering if there's enough of that, open it up a little bit for him, because again, he needs to develop. If you want to see what this kid can do, you're going to have to, you're going to have to throw him in the deep end a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know if the Niners are a team you want to do that with, but I think.
Well, the secondary was there again for the they're.
Yeah, but Jeff, just because Verrett's out, you got to have a quarterback that can attack that weakness. And come on, he's not that guy. He's going to dart you down the field.
No, but I almost didn't see any of that at all. I didn't see plays. It was a weird game. They only had 55 plays, which isn't much on offense, and they ran the ball a fair amount. It was just a choppy game, I felt. And then there's long drives that defense had to kind of, and you're going to see that.
I thought he kept you. I thought his game plan was one that kept you in it, was to keep the clock moving and shorten the game, and then maybe you could steal one. I mean, that's kind of the approach, which I think is the correct approach. when you're playing a team like San Francisco. Now, here you go, like Dallas, right? Now, Dallas, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to play it the same way, right? Go ahead, Jalen, beat me. And I think Jalen could beat them down the field.
Yeah, the different defenses, certainly, and no DeMarcus Lawrence. So, and he's their best player. So, yeah, that's a team you probably can attack. And, yeah, and Nick was playing conservatively in terms of the fourth downs. Analytics guys would say that you should have went for it on 4th and 3 for the first one. You should have gone for it on the second one as well.
Yeah, I don't hear that. To me, I let my coach, dude, you got the feel for the game, not the analytics people.
Well, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you what the numbers say, and it's interesting to see that. I thought he was a little aggressive in the first. No, what we're seeing is, and this is what I've been told, Nick won't be driven by analytics.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I love that. I hate that. I will never take the ability for my head coach who has the feel. I don't care what any of these numbers say. The coach has the feel of the game, and he needs. Go ahead.
I'm going to counter it a little bit just because the analytics people were the ones who were ahead on going for it more on 4th down. They were the ones who were ahead for when to go for it on 2. Like Nick wouldn't have 10, 15 years ago, he wouldn't have gone for it on 4th and 3 down there. He wouldn't have gone for it for 2 points. So the analytics people have moved NFL a little more in their direction. Not a lot, but they've certainly been right in terms of giving your team the best chance to win. There's certain times that you need to go for it, and there's certain times that you need to go for it on 2 for 2 points.
It's the Anthony Gargano Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Cuz. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is kicking off another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week. Receive $150 in free bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code FANATIC. That's code FANATIC at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
97.5 The Fanatic.
So,
but it's still about the feel of the game. I mean, you need to balance. I'm not telling you. Yeah, you're right. I mean, without a doubt, Jeff, you're right that, there are spots when you need to go for it on 4th and 3 when in 20 years ago to kick a field goal. And I would agree with that. I'm just saying I never like to take decision-making out of the hands of my head coach, and you're just reading from an analytics playbook.
I'm with you there, too. I just feel like a good coach, is still using taking all the information that they can, that's given to them and applying it to, again,
Sirianni looks like a guy that can handle it. So I don't know. I mean, he looks like a dude that's got a good feel for the game. His head's not buried in a chart, and I think he thinks quickly. He demonstrates that he could be. Yeah,
we'll see how that goes over with the guy who owns the team, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Jeffrey's it's his choice. It's his coach. So you got a young coach.
His coach too.
Yeah, but he wasn't his choice. He was a secondary choice in a sense. He only became his choice when his first 2 choices weren't there, and Andy told him to go after Doug.
There were, a lot of similarities in how both guys were hired, though. I mean, no one had interviewed Nick, and no one had interviewed Doug.
Yeah, but I think the scenario is more apt toward when Jeffrey hired Andy.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say, maybe a little bit plucking a guy out of anonymity. Nick's not. I don't think Nick's Andy, but we'll see.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, I just think he may not be, but I think the guy. I don't know. He's exceeded kind of what I've thought thus far. We'll see. He's worked.
I like a lot what he's doing. I I have questions about certain things, but so far I like what I see. And the bar was low, so
yeah, it was. I agree. And even the same thing with Jalen. Like, I'm not anointing either anything, and I'm not detracting. I just want to see it. That's why I have this week-to-week kind of mentality. So give me an update on all the injuries and the Ertz with the COVID situation. Tell me where it all stands.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with Ertz because it's the most pressing, it seems. Zach's been vaccinated, so it must have been a breakthrough or he was around someone. I still don't know if it's one or the other. And then he has to be test negative, I think, 48 hours before game time. So there's still a chance he could play on on Monday. They actually have the extra day, so that benefits them as well. We'll just see how that plays out over the next week. That no other player had been placed on COVID, so I guess they have these guys on contact tracers. So I guess there's a silver lining, and that it seems like no one else has been deemed or put on that list as well. And then in relation to the guys who are injured, Nick's updates are pretty much what I have too. I mean, Brandon Graham's done for the year. Brandon Brooks, better news than I think they originally had thought. They thought that pec strain, a full tear would have required surgery, which would have ended the season. Instead, it's not. I don't know the exact grade of it, but from what I understand, it's like a 4 to 6 week injury. It'll depend upon his recovery from it, but he'll be back at some point. Probably, I guess we're looking maybe late October, early November. And then I think Davian Taylor was the only other injury, and Nick said day to day, but I don't know. He may be a stretch to play on Monday. And this is an injury now that's been kind of that won't go away. Calf injury that kept him out pretty much in the preseason. He made a couple good plays out there, and it's a shame because it seems like the light bulb has gone on a little bit, but the injuries keep holding him back.
Yeah, that's a shame. Hey, I got one last thing for you. We're talking to Jeff McClain. Make sure you read him and you follow him on Twitter. He's amazing. Boston Scott. Is that overkill? I mean, would you prefer a guy like Howard, active, goal line situation? You got a bigger, sturdy back?
I thought the reason for keeping Howard, or at least keeping him around, and I thought there was a chance he'd make the roster, was because he can do that. And he can lower his head and get north to south and get you those tough yards. And that's something he's always done, dating back to his rookie year with the Bears. So I guess in that sense, I was a little surprised. I feel like Miles can do that too. Certainly not as well. He's certainly not as stout or big as Jordan. Maybe
it feels like Boston Scott's overkill. I mean, you got Gainwell and you got Sanders. I mean, I don't know that you need.
Well, I guess Boston now has become like a special teams guy that plays on all the units, so coverages and et cetera. And then I guess you have a third guy. So yeah, you're saying drop Boston, pull up Howard.
Yeah, you could have used him around the goal line.
Yeah, Jordan can't play special teams, so I guess that's the issue there. Basically, that's it. I mean, Boston is your third running back in case you need him over the course of the game. Someone gets hurt, and you still have him to do special teams. Jordan will just be sitting there waiting to come into the game.
Yeah, it's
so I guess unless you want to dress 4 running backs, but then you're taking away someone else who does special teams. Special teams is the key there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Bottom roster guys.
Yeah, you're right on, brother. Right on. My man, great stuff as always. I love our conversations.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it. All right, we'll talk
to you
soon.
next week. Be safe, Dallas. Here he is, Jeff McClain, Inquire.com.
Looking for the perfect gift for your mom, your spouse, your kids, or even your BFF? Must-haves and funfinds.com has you covered. Our team is crafting lists of ideas to make every gift you give extra special. Must-haves and funfinds.com.